brigade, blessings.
We in this together. You are not alone.
The time by Sagicor is
7 p.m.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, new fire management software tracks the nation's 2025 fire statistics. Severe overseas weather and its impact on Negril's tourism sector. And later, gauging STEAM education, a transformative force. In the business report, regional integration as economic imperative. And in sports, Tivoli and Treasure Beach play out goalless draw in JPL.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Welcome to Jamrock. Jamaica, Jamaica. Oh, my reggae nice and it take ya.
It is such a joy to be here this evening with you at the 2025 Hummingbird Gala.
The American Friends of Jamaica presents its Hummingbird Gala, honoring Joseph Joe Bogdanovich and Jason Hensel.
We're celebrating business leaders, we are celebrating public servants, philanthropists.
Don't miss it this Thursday at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of
Sagicor, building trust for generations.
Celebrating 55 years.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Wednesday, January 28, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. Following a year defined by historic devastation, the Jamaica Fire Brigade has announced the full implementation of a modern fire management software as of January 23, 2026. This digital upgrade arrives as the brigade works to stabilize operations after a disaster-heavy 2025 marked by the devastating passage of Hurricane Melissa. Crystal Williams tells us more.
Commissioner Stuart Beckford describes 2025 as an active year for the brigade, intensified by a major disaster in the final quarter. He explains that the surge was driven by significant increases in bushfires and a growing demand for special services. While providing statistics, the newly launched fire management software will track, he reports 21,699 incidents for last year to be exact, a 13.7 increase since the previous year.
So for last year, genuine fires stood at 11,048, which is a 13% increase over the previous year, where we had 9,775. And chief among that, the largest chunk of that was really responses to bushfires, which continues to be a very worrisome thing for us.
Bushfires, sometimes caused by human activities such as the improper disposal and burning of garbage, land clearing for agricultural uses, or by natural causes. According to the commissioner, bushfires remain at a consistently high level.
So last year we would have responded to 5,710 such incidents, and that's a 26% increase over the previous year, where we had 4,523.
While reporting on structural files, he delivered increasing statistics for commercial buildings. However, the data for residential buildings hums a more optimistic tune.
Commercial building files went up by 3.7%. We had 378 in 2024 as opposed to 392 last year. Residential fire, which was a little bit of a concern to us in relation to the numbers that we were seeing last year. We saw a slight reduction in that, moving from 1,227, that's 1,227 in 2024 to 1,163 in 2025.
Reporting for CVM News, I am Crystal Williams.
There's a call from the principal of one of the country's community colleges for partnership and national alignment to ensure the sustainability of the science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics STEAM program. More from Curlin Brown.
Principal of Knox Community College, Dr. Davy Ramjeet, says when thinking about a model for an ecosystem, it's more than just experiences through research sitting in one's own spaces.
It can be lived experiences by traveling abroad. So we're engaged in culture, we're socializing, and sometimes we have to really reconsider at what point in our implementation process the things become real.
In that context, she adds, each time government invests on traveling for study tours, it's a future investment or return on investment for those who benefit to know what is a best fit going forward. Principal Ramjeet, who was the guest speaker at the Science, Technology, Engineer, Arts and Mathematics STEAM Week 2026 public lecture and symposium, stresses she's very keen on policies, not politics.
Across both governments of Jamaica, they have invested heavily in education. What I'm not keen on is how heavily invested we have been in recreating our ecosystem for the next 50 years.
She reminds in many spaces the political agenda may change.
We are at a point now we have to agree about the creation of an ecosystem that will transcend whomever is in power. And education is that one ecosystem that must be maintained across any political sphere.
Meanwhile, included in her presentation on implementing STEAM education in Jamaica, the Chinese ecosystem model, Principal Ramjeet references the 2023-24 STEAM report from Jamaica College JC, which showed improved student engagement and teacher feedback. However, in addition to being taken aback, most in attendance were unaware of the program at one of the country's oldest secondary institutions. She's hoping the recommendation the model be replicated is actually being processed.
It would have been nice to see secondary principal among us to determine whether or not they have accepted, they have seen, they have some knowledge. I know they have two robust organizations, APVP and JASP. I am very hopeful that that is pending or being implemented as we speak.
As it relates to the Chinese mature STEAM ecosystem, she points out everything there is purposefully industry-linked. A reminder, it's not enough to consumerize the expression innovation. Among her calls for action, greater involvement of our partners. And of the recommendations to ensure STEAM is not just an educational fad, but a driver of national development which will, among other things, prepare students for global competitiveness, a sustainable and culturally grounded ecosystem. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
Meanwhile, tourism stakeholders in Negril are weighing the impact of recent flight cancellations as severe winter weather overseas disrupts travel plans. While some operators warn of reduced bookings, others believe the setback will be temporary and the season can still recover. Carla Ramdeen reports.
Former Negril Chamber of Commerce President Cliff Reynolds says severe weather in the United States and Canada has led to flight and hotel cancellations, which will affect some local resorts.
If people can't fly, then they can't reach here because, of course, coming by the boat, they don't really spend the amount of time they do as they fly. So it's one of those situations. God knows best. So we just have to keep preparing ourselves and hope that for those who can make the adjustment, we'll do it. But as we know, most of our persons come from America. They plan a year ahead for the vacation, so it's going to be tight for them to shift. So it will affect us.
Chairman of the Destination Assurance Council, Richard Wallace, explains that while harsh winters abroad can temporarily disrupt travel, they can also create opportunities for Jamaica's tourism.
A lot of people who try to escape the harsh winters, so they come to the tropics, and it benefits us a lot. However, when it gets to the point where it's closing airports and canceling flights, then that's not so good for us. However, I expect that will be short term, the closure of the airports and the canceled flights, and sooner than later we will see the boom that we are expecting for February.
Mr. Wallace says the aim is to position Jamaica at the forefront in order to boost tourism.
It's not just the cancellations, or it's not just the hurricane that hit Jamaica. It's also all the turmoil in the US. I mean, travel is down tremendously worldwide because a lot of less people are traveling now than you know. I mean, there are rumors of war and all these things going on, and people are weary. And so, you know, I believe that's some of those things are affecting us as well. So, but all in all, people are still coming on vacation.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Cooler conditions are beginning to take hold across Jamaica as a cold front influences the island's weather pattern. Meteorologist Javoy Sawyer says forecasts indicate increasing showers over the next few days, particularly for northern and western parishes. Here again is Carla Ramdeen.
Jamaica is experiencing a change in weather as a cold front affects the island. Meteorologist Javoy Sawyer says showers are expected on Thursday afternoon, mainly across northern and western parishes, with a brief break on Friday.
On Saturday, when we expect the cold front to move across the island, we're expecting scattered showers across all parishes late Saturday morning into Saturday evening. However, though, when that front moves offshore to the east behind the cold front, we have that cold air and the winds out of the west. So we're expecting higher sea conditions across western and northern sections of our coasts. And with that, the wind coming from the north and west, we're expecting showers to persist across northern parishes much of the day, Sunday, Monday, and again on Tuesday.
Mr. Sawyers warns that the system could also lead to flight delays and cancellations over the weekend.
Those flights, again, over the weekend, not certain of any that has been cancelled as yet, but this cold, the cold air that we're expecting across Jamaica isn't limited to our area. We're expecting the cold air to come from the US. So cooler conditions across Florida and the Carolinas. So we're expecting some cancellations are possible.
Jamaicans are advised to stay warm and remain alert, as rainfall may cause flash flooding and landslides, particularly in hilly areas.
As though may cause some conditions to deteriorate across the northern parishes, so expecting the rains to continue most of the weekend into early week. So look out for those flash flooding which are possible, and across those hilly interior areas, expecting landslides also possible.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Our news package continues in just a moment.
Set, go. Question: what matters the most to perform your best on a Sigma race day?
Speed.
No, what really matters is what's in here, your heart.
Sagicor Sigma Run. Register now at sagicorsigmarun.com.
Employers, once a month, you have the power to shape Jamaica's future. By paying your hard 3% contribution, you're not just contributing, you're investing in people, in skills, in our economy. Your heart contribution trains working-age Jamaicans, aligns programs with workforce needs, and secures our future. That's not just contribution, it's transformation. Contribute to heart and to your future.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit the dark, shine your lights
Welcome back. We continue the local news. Jamaica is taking a major step in the energy sector as United Oil and Gas begins exploring for commercial oil reserves. While the move could offer long-term economic benefits, economist Joseph Cox is warning that it's still too early to expect any immediate gains. Kevin Black has the details.
Jamaica is now in the exploration phase for oil. United Oil and Gas, an independent oil and gas company, is assessing whether the island has commercial reserves. According to economist Joseph Cox, it's too early to expect any immediate benefits, but the discussion over risks and rewards has begun.
What they're doing is basically what they call some preparatory work, just to establish whether or not it's even feasible to start any kind of real exploratory work. In the event that you do find commercial viable quantities of oil, what happens there? How do you guard against the eventualities, frankly speaking, where you will have oil spills, etc.?
He uses Guyana as an example of how oil wealth can be managed, warning Jamaica to negotiate contracts carefully.
What the conversation I think we need to be having, at least preliminarily, would be the nature of, in the event of, the nature of the extractive contracts. Because frankly speaking, right across this region, whether it be bauxite, oil, you name it, we have been notoriously bad at negotiations of those things.
Cox cautions, however, that even if oil is found, benefits could take years and building hype now could undermine economic stability.
The risk that we have to run, or we would be running, to be honest with you, is if we get ahead of ourselves and decide that, oh yes, the oil is coming and we are going to start to spend in preparation of that coming.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
Meantime, the government is pushing to amend the Cybercrimes Act again, this time promising harsher penalties and increased fines for those in breach, especially concerning acts against children, fraud or forgery, and generating or publishing nudes without the individual's consent. And while the opposition largely agreed with the amendments, they demanded more from the government, citing a rapidly evolving AI and cyber landscape. The proposed amendments come at a time when regional leaders are moving apace to combat cyber crimes, including digital fraud, forgery, and online bullying, issues that impact the most vulnerable in society. Piloting the bill here in Jamaica is Dr. Andrew Wheatley, Minister responsible for Science, Technology, and Special Projects. Highlighting that much of daily life and commerce are now being lived and conducted digitally, he notes it's only fitting for the laws to adapt accordingly.
This amendment package is about three things: stronger protection for people, especially our children and most vulnerable, Mr. Speaker; sharper tools for law enforcement and prosecutors; and of course, Mr. Speaker, in an ever-evolving landscape, updated definitions and offences that reflect how harm now travels through digital platforms.
Dr. Wheatley shares several crimes that impact minors, to include publishing of intimate photos and videos, will now bear harsher penalties of up to 20 years in prison. This, as he reminds minors, cannot give consent to sexual activities or dissemination of such content.
Where an offense is committed, Mr. Speaker, through access to any computer program or data against any individual, Mr. Speaker, under the age of 18 years, the court, Mr. Speaker, may impose imprisonment for a term not exceeding 20 years.
In the case of digital fraud or forgery, an increasingly popular activity rocking the banking sector in recent times,
it makes, Mr. Speaker, a corresponding amendment to Section 8. Likewise, Mr. Speaker, providing that where the offense, that is fraud or forgery, is committed against an individual under the age of 18 years, the penalty, Mr. Speaker, may include imprisonment for a term not exceeding 20 years.
The minister also agrees that it is imperative for the government to disrupt the organized crime capacities by strengthening the laws and allowing the security forces greater capacities to enforce the law online.
The law directly disrupts the pipeline of tools used to compromise accounts and facilitate illicit transfers. But plainly put, Mr. Speaker, we are raising the operational cost of scamming and increasing the likelihood of effective disruption, investigation, and prosecution.
Cabinet has approved the policy framework for the proposed One Road Authority, billed as the answer to Jamaica's long-standing road woes. But even as the government is promising smoother roads for motorists, progress on one of the country's biggest infrastructure projects is hitting bumps of its own. As you'll now hear in this report, the $45 billion Spark program is now expected to take longer than originally planned.
It's an age-old struggle many Jamaicans know all too well. Bad roads, blown tires, and potholes that seem to appear overnight. For many motorists, getting from point A to point B often means budgeting for repairs instead of fuel. But if the government has its way, these concerns could soon become a thing of the past. Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, said the government is now moving forward with One Road Authority, a regulatory body which will bring stronger oversight and improved standards to road construction and maintenance, including for parochial roads, which are the responsibility of municipal corporations.
Cabinet also approved the development of the Jamaica Road Designation Framework, as well as the Jamaica Road Register. And we are already in the process of creating the Jamaica Road Register website, where every Jamaican will have access to a list of all roads, the quality of the road, and who is responsible for your road. We're also going to implement the Jamaica Road Designation Framework, which will determine how roads are designated, whether they be main roads, farm roads, or parish council roads. Cabinet has directed that the ministry begin implementation immediately.
Morgan is also responding to calls for stronger accountability among contractors who deliver substandard work.
We're actually in the middle of working with the World Bank to create an enhanced accountability framework for contractors. I know that the Public Procurement Commission has also been doing some work on it. So as we move forward with the One Road Authority, a part of the accountability mechanism is ensuring that there is more accountability, not just for contractors, because a big part of the challenge we have is not just contractors. There are times when we make a road and another utility company might have to go on the road and impact the road. I can't blame the contractor for that, but the public doesn't care.
The minister says lawmakers intend to reform fines and penalties under the Main Roads Act to hold members of the public accountable for interfering with road maintenance. Now, the Main Roads Act is the primary legislation governing the management, construction, and maintenance of primary roads in the country. The act has been operational since 1932 and was last amended in 1985.
No longer will you be fined for not having lodging at your tavern for the man who comes on his carriage, or having a stable for a horse. which is actually in
the law.
the law. And those are some of the things we have to reform because our society has changed significantly. But there are also other pieces of legislation that impacts on the road. For example, the Road Traffic Act, which we have been using to deal with the emanations from cement trucks and so forth.
Now, while new road reforms are being fast-tracked, progress under the Spark program has slowed due to Hurricane Melissa. Of note, the minister said Spark roads sustained minimal damage during the weather system. The project, which began in late 2024, was originally scheduled to run for 2 years, but Mr. Morgan says it's now likely to extend beyond that timeline. $4 billion has so far been spent on the $45 billion project, with a further $5.2 billion earmarked for works this year. Reporting for CVM News, I'm Amoy Harriet.
In the meantime, Morgan says the government has encountered challenges with the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. You'll recall that in September last year, the road work was disrupted after the minister said he received reports that individuals were seeking to unlawfully impose themselves on the project by claiming authority to take over. The issues now being faced are of a different nature.
We will admit that we have had some challenges on the St. Thomas Highway project, particularly as a result of water line issues. But the contractor is obligated to ensure that whatever is handed over to the government is of a particular quality. So the government is not responsible for any repairs to any problem that is on the St. Thomas Highway, whether it be package A or B, because the contractor has a legal obligation to ensure that we get it. What has been happening over the last 3 months is that the contractor has been handing over sections of the road to the government. But even after the handover is done, the road is still under warranty for 2 years. So we have not taken control of a majority of the road yet.
Several employees of the National Solid Waste Management Authority staged a protest on Wednesday outside the organization's offices following the death of a colleague who was electrocuted while on duty. The worker has been identified as Garfield Johnson, a sanitation employee who was injured on January 16 while working on a garbage truck in the Greenwich Farm community in St. Andrew. Reports indicate the truck became entangled with an electrical wire, resulting in Johnson suffering severe electric shocks and burns. He was rushed to hospital where he later died on Tuesday. The protest involved employees of MPM Waste Management Limited, the arm of NSWMA responsible for Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas and St. Catherine, along with members of Johnson's family. The protesters raised concerns about workplace safety and what they describe as a lack of communication and support from the company following the incident. CVM News attempted to contact MPM Waste Management Limited for a response, but our calls went unanswered. Do stay with us for more right after the break.
Chicken mega deal, super chicken mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the famous bone combo for just $640. KFC.
No frills, just great prices at Courts. We don't just talk about it, we got it. Get the best in quality and prices on appliances, electronics, furniture, and much more. That's not all. Get up to 40% off select items. Shop today, pay later with Courts Ready Finance. It's no frills, just great prices. Only at Courts. Bringing value home. Conditions apply. Offers end January 31st, 2026.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Welcome back. It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today. From his vantage as Executive President of the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, CAF, Sergio Diaz Granados challenged the region's leaders to consider integration as an economic imperative for participation in the global value chains of the 21st century and position the region as a leader in sustainable development, a region with its own voice, to provide concrete solutions. It's a message that is being articulated at the International Economic Forum Latin America and Caribbean 2026, hosted in Panama City, an occasion that brings together more than 2,500 global experts, 2 Nobel laureates in economics, and 7 heads of state, as well as Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness.
The question before us is not whether the global system is changing. It is whether our region will change with intention or drift by default. For too long, Latin America and the Caribbean have been described primarily through a language of vulnerability. But vulnerability is not our destiny. Our region possesses what the world increasingly needs: young populations, strategic geography, extraordinary natural assets, food-producing capabilities, renewable energy potential, creative industries, and resilient democracies.
Resilience and rapid recovery have been hallmarks of Jamaica's recent experiences, from the shutdown of COVID to the impact of the third most powerful weather system in recorded history. Dr. Holness's address on day 1 of the plenary session spoke on how the unity of purpose for the region can surpass even the sum of its parts.
Our region is not only navigating global uncertainty, but confronting a deeper question of agency. Will we merely navigate the world as it changes, or will we help to shape the direction in which it moves? If our region is to rise, we must deepen our economic connections. If our economies are to scale, we must scale our ambitions. If our voice is to carry globally, we must speak not as isolated markets, but as a coherent hemisphere.
When observing the panorama of possibilities within the grasp of the regional pursuit, Prime Minister Holness settled on 3 key imperatives.
First, a regional competitiveness agenda anchored in connectivity, logistics, energy security, and digital transformation. Second, institutional readiness, credible frameworks that give global partners confidence that our ambitions can be executed with professionalism and continuity. And third, a renewed diplomatic and economic posture, deepening engagement not only with traditional partners, but with emerging markets, global value chain leaders, and the rapidly expanding green technology ecosystem.
Dr. Holness spoke of the potential to establish the region as a zone of example and solutions to major global challenges.
We are not peripheral to the global system. We are central to its stability, sustainability, and future growth. But to project that reality, we must act deliberately. We must articulate clearer regional positions on climate resilience, supply chain diversification, digital inclusion, and sustainable energy. We must move from fragmented national initiatives to aligned regional priorities. We intend to contribute to a hemisphere that is not merely participating in global affairs, but shaping them. Let us therefore commit to a shared regional vision, a hemisphere that acts with discipline, speaks with purpose, and competes with confidence. A hemisphere that is resilient, dynamic, and future-ready. A hemisphere that the world recognizes not for its challenges, but for its capabilities.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
We now turn to regional and international news.
We begin with regional news. Prime Minister of Grenada, Dickon Mitchell, has made it clear that Grenada will not accept third country deportees from the United States unless the U.S. government covers all relocation costs, citing limited resources and ongoing labor shortages. More from Grenada Broadcasting Network.
That's the point of it. It's not just the desire. You have to have the resources to pay for it. You have to have the resources to house them. And I'm saying part of the discussion is, obviously, we are not going to take people and pay for them. So part of the MOU here will have to be obviously the United States footing the bill. If they are unable or unwilling to foot the bill, then obviously it's not going to happen because we don't have the capacity to foot the bill.
Further afield, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has warned Iran that, quote, time is running out to negotiate a deal on its nuclear program following the steady buildup of U.S. military forces in the Gulf. Amidst the rising tension, Iran insists its nuclear program is entirely peaceful and has repeatedly denied seeking to develop nuclear weapons. We hear more from the BBC.
And in June, we obliterated Iran's nuclear capacity in Operation Midnight Hammer. You saw that. People have been waiting for 22 years to do that, and we were right at the end. They were about a month away from having a nuclear weapon. We had to do it. And by the way, there's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
Moving on to news in Indonesia, a landslide triggered by heavy rain has struck a residential area in the country's West Java province, killing dozens and leaving many missing. While rescue attempts are ongoing, authorities are working to identify recovered bodies whilst grieving families wait nearby. Al Jazeera has the details.
I feel completely broken, deeply sad. My older brother is still missing and his 2 children have died. Only 1 child survived because that child was staying overnight at their grandmother's house. If the child had been at home, she would have become a victim too.
I truly hope my mother can be found. No matter what her condition is, I still hope she will be found.
Indonesia is vulnerable to landslides during its rainy season, which runs from November to March, because of its mountainous terrain.
And that will do it for regional and international news. I'm Akim Aret.
Stay with us for sports with Jordan Fort after the break.
Do you recognize the signs of dengue? Look out for these symptoms: high fever, severe headaches, joint and muscle pain, skin rash, nausea, and pain behind the eyes. If you experience these symptoms, rest, stay hydrated, and take paracetamol for pain relief. If symptoms persist beyond 3 days or worsen, such as persistent vomiting, severe abdominal pain, or difficulty breathing, seek